So last year, myself and Ian and a couple other friends got the opportunity to go down to Texas and chased after some Catalina goats with our friend JD Verfurth at Angry Goat Outfitters. Wound up, it was an awesome experience. One guy in the group actually got a hog, which was pretty neat. Big surprise for us. And the rest of us just kind of followed in that footprint through the day and into the next day, and wound up getting all of our goats fairly quickly. And so following that, this year I've been chomping at the bit to get down there. My goal was find something new to hunt, something other than the Catalinas, and it worked out awesome because my wife Danica wanted to go down. She's just getting into the hunting, and she's loving it. So we decided to make it a trip for us, and it was actually the first trip that we've taken by ourselves without the kids. So we took a week and went down. We got to visit some museums, see some of the sites. We went to the Magnolia store, was high on our list of places to see. So we got to walk through that, and that was pretty cool. And wrapped up the week by getting down to JD's and getting to do some hunting. We got to JD's house on Friday mid-afternoon. Came up with a quick game plan, being we had just probably 2.5 hours of light left. And the animal that I was gunning for down there was a black buck. I've always thought they were neat animals, and the first time we went down to Texas, I got to see a couple of them running around, so that's kind of what we decided to go for. Right as we got into the gate, we had JD pointed out an ostrich, and kind of joked about it being the farm pet, and it ran right up to us. Danica actually got to feed it, which was kind of neat to see. And then from there, we decided to get set up in the blind because we had about 1.5 hours, 2 hours of light left. So we got into the blind, got all of our equipment set up, and out of nowhere came this huge whitetail buck. It was something, it was a real sight to see. This buck wasn't a huntable animal. The ranch was trying to grow a population of white-tailed deer to be hunted in the future. As time went on, we had a few black buck does come in, and not very long after they showed up, fantastic looking black buck came in, and he was getting kind of pushy with the does. He'd kind of push them all into a group, and he'd headbutt them out and kind of corral them back in. And so it took a little while to get a clean shot on him. So we sat there and watched him. There was a couple of times I drew, but then he'd kind of dart off to the side and get covered up by does. And when the shot finally opened up, it was a brief moment. I got drawn, and I guessed the range based on what I had ranged previously when we sat down, and I missed just under him by a couple of inches, which was kind of a bummer, but actually wound up leading into a lot better hope than I could have ever dreamt for Danica. So Saturday morning, we got up, got around pretty early, and got out to the ranch. And one of the things that JD likes to do is offer you different styles of hunting. So Friday night, we sat in a blind. He also offers spot and stock, and safari style, which is kind of driving around. He's got a system in the bed of his truck where you're on a swivel seat, and you have a pretty good vantage point from the ground, or from the seats, where you can kind of see over the top of some of the shrubs and trees. So Danica decided we'd try safari style. Danica was down there. She had her heart set on a fallow. There's a couple different types of fallows. You have chocolate fallows and spotted fallows and white fallows. So we set out to find a fallow for her, and it proved a little more difficult than I had thought. We saw a few, one that was kind of a normal side and then had a spike on the other. JD wasn't too thrilled about putting us on that one, so he said we'd look around a little more. And the rest of the fallows were pretty hard to find. I mean, we did a lot of walking, probably 4 or 5 miles of walking through the day, just kind of parking and going from there. And then ultimately wound up just doing our safari style and came across this phenomenal looking fallow. I mean, he was just a beautiful animal. Take your time. Make sure you flip that all the way forward.
Right on the shoulder?
Yeah, right on the shoulder.
Right on the shoulder. Your safety's on right now. Okay. You gotta push it forward 2 clicks. It was probably 130, 135 yards. And she lined up the Thompson center on him and squeezed off the trigger just perfect and made an awesome shot on this animal.
That's a good one.
That is like the biggest fallow I've ever had shot. Ever.
You can see in her face, it was definitely mixed emotions, a lot of excitement, and kind of disbelief among all of us, especially when JD got up into the bed of the truck and mentioned that that was the biggest fallow that he's had hunted on that ranch. So that was definitely kind of an overwhelming, exciting experience and something awesome to hear. And I know it's definitely one of those things you're just not gonna forget.
So after driving around and looking at animals, we had kind of a hard time finding a fallow that I really wanted. And then we drove up on this one and it was just hanging out right there, looking right at us. And it's beautiful. And I took my shot and thankfully it went down for me.
So after celebrating and recovering Danica's fallow, but after all that, I was back in the shooter's chair. And JD had mentioned earlier in the day that they had a Corsican ram that was a good older ram. They just hadn't had anybody that was able to get it yet. As soon as I saw this ram, I just knew that was the one I was gonna go for. So we pulled up on this ram. He had finally given us a shot opportunity on him. So we got out of the truck. JD got the tripod set up real quick for me. And I handed the camera to Danica. And I lined up on this ram and took an awesome shot. And turned around to see Danica just looking bummed, almost in tears. She told me she'd forgot to hit the record button, which at some point or another happens to all of us. You get wrapped up in the moment, and that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. But it's still a lot of fun, a lot of great memories, and both her and I are looking forward to going back down. So here we are. It's our 3rd day down here with Angry Goat Outfitters, and I switched from black buck over to a Corsican because we saw an awesome one just the other morning. And we spent the better part of a couple hours looking for this guy, and it couldn't have come together any better. So after mine and Danica's success down in Texas, I know there's a handful of other guys on the team that want to go down to Texas and see what Angry Goats is all about, and if their experience is anything like both of mine and Danica's experience, it'll be an awesome, awesome hunt to remember.